Hey friends, welcome back to my Southwest kitchen, and we are going to be doing something really fun today. So instead of 25 ingredients, we are going to narrow this recipe down to 5 ingredients, and we'll be putting together some homemade Cheez-It crackers. So I just thought I'd show you the real quick steps. Super fun, simple, tasty, so come on with. Okay, so first things first, we're going to get this cheese cut up, and I'm using fresh grated cheese, and that's kind of like the difference in between some of these recipes. I think the freshly grated works way better than the stuff that's already shredded, you know, in a bag at the store. So I'm gonna get this cut up, and then, so our Cheez-Its are going to be a little bit different color, and normally you would use like a sharp cheddar or what have you, but this is what I have around. So it's going to be a Colby Jack flavor instead of the super sharp, but that's it. I mean, you just add a little flour, etc., and you're not gonna believe how these turn out. So my goal is I'm gonna get roughly 2 cups of shredded cheese, shredded up, and then I'll come back once I am ready to go. Okay, so I've got my 2 cups roughly of freshly shredded cheese, and I just filled up my Pyrex, and then just to show you on that block, like it wasn't even half the block. So I'm gonna get this put away quick. And then here's the cheese that I'm talking about too, that's in the bag. It's got so many other different added ingredients, like it has the salt, prevent caking. So they usually end up adding like cellulose or something to it to get it to not stick together. But that's kind of what you want for this recipe, for the things to stick together. So I have my flour, the cheese. All right, so I'm gonna add the cheese right away and get that out and going. And then I'm just going to kind of break it up a little bit, and you can see kind of how sticky it is. So it's 2 cups of freshly shredded cheese, and it's kind of like it said, the cheese of your choice. And then I'm going to be adding 1 cup of flour, and instead of sticking it in and just leveling it off, I'm going to do the true kind of sifted way, and I'm just going to spoon it into my measuring cup. That's how I do it for my for my bread machine. And it just kind of makes it more a true measurement instead of, you know, scooping it in and having some air pockets. So this is going to be 1. Smooth it out, and that looks good to me. So 1 cup of flour, add that right in. We'll set that to the side. The 1/4 teaspoon of salt, I'm using my Redmond's real salt. You can use, you know, Celtic salt, and the butter has a little bit of salt in it already, so I'm not adding a ton. And if we're adding the 1/4 cup, which is roughly half of a stick, to the mix, and it's a soft, it's pretty malleable and soft. So we're gonna do that. And then as we move along here, we're going to be adding the milk to it. Some people do use chilled water, but I find that the milk kind of makes them fluffier, etc. So now it's just kind of a matter of, you know, getting this butter all broke down and making this into a dough-like texture. So this is going to take a little bit of time. So I'll bring you back when I'm pretty close to making it into a dough. Or actually, I'll bring you back when I'm ready to add the milk to it. So once I have this butter pretty much completely broke down into the mix, and I'll bring you back so that we can show you how it turns into dough. Okay, so here we are a few minutes later. I just got in there really good with my hands. I kind of gave up on the Danish dough whisk, etc. Just, I thought that my hands would do really well. So now we're basically to the point of just kind of really pulling everything together. And you'll notice that it starts changing color into whatever color cheese that you have. And I'm just going to add the 2 tablespoons of fairly cold milk I mean, it is basically out of the fridge. And then as you need, if you need to add more, you do. But at this point, sometimes it just depends on the humidity level in the air, believe it or not, of, you know, if you do need more. So I'm just gonna kind of get in there. And after we've got it all mushed together, just like a dough, you'll see that I'm gonna give it a chill for about a half hour just in the fridge, because it tends to roll out a little bit better once it's chilled, because right now it's very sticky, as you can kind of see. And I'm feeling like it's a pretty good consistency. But you know, make yourself be the judge of it. And yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm gonna get this kind of scooped up and set in a, maybe put some plastic wrap around it, or just leave it in the bowl like this and give it a chill. Maybe put it into like a little, you know, log shape, so it'll be easier to kind of roll out. And give it a chill for about a half hour. And then we're gonna get rolling with the homies here and get it rolled out. And then after that is when we turn our oven on and get it preheated to, I wanna say it's 325. And I'm just gonna be using my little convection oven. So yeah, look at that, isn't that kind of crazy? So I feel like the 2 tablespoons of milk was really good for this specific moisture content cheese. And all right, well, I'll see you in about a half hour once this is done chilling. The timer just went off, so we're gonna get our dough out and we're gonna get it rolled out. So I've just got some parchment paper down, and I'm just gonna kind of put my hands in it and get it kind of started to be flattened. I might split this in 2 different portions. That might make my life a little bit easier. So let me grab a dish. Okay, so I am just gonna get this rolled out, and you definitely want, just gonna add a little flour here. You definitely want it as thin as you can, and they kind of say like about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just gonna get this, like I said, as flat as I can with my hands, and then we're gonna give it a roll just with my little generic roller that I have here. And then I have my little bench knife that will go over. I also grabbed out my pizza cutter too, because sometimes that's fun to use and make nice clean edges. It just rolls out so good. Like once you just give it that little bit of chill, it just kind of makes your life a little bit easier. So I'm just gonna go as thin as I can, and then I actually grabbed out a few toothpicks as well. You'll see at the end that you definitely do want to poke them, because you don't want them to explode in, or you know, it helps them kind of puff up to be like the little puffy, you know, Cheez-Its that we all know and love. They're just not necessarily the healthiest for you. So here we are trying to make our own. And I think it looks pretty good. So all you do is you want to make them into like the little squares. So here, I'm just gonna show you how easy it is with pizza cutter. So, and I'm just eyeballing it. So roughly an inch, and that, you know, I feel like that works really well. And just goes a little bit quicker. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it looks pretty darn good. So I have my toaster oven heating up, which is also my little convection oven, which you've seen in a lot of my videos. It's just my husband and myself, so I like to make, you know, smaller portions. And we have the grandkids coming, of course, in probably, you know, a little over a month or so. And I just thought this would be like a fun, you know, fairly healthy snack. And I'm excited for you to see kind of the final product, because they just look and taste just like the little Cheez-Its. And like I said earlier, that, you know, whatever cheese that you do use, I'm using the Colby Jack because that's what I have on hand, indicates the color of your little crackers. So look how fun this is. The edges here. All right, so I'm just gonna take I'm gonna go, you know, two-handed here, and I'm just kind of swirling them to make that hole. Because, like I said, you don't want them to, you know, puff up and, you know, really puff up and explode. Okay, so I am just putting them on the tray that we're cooking on, and I am just leaving just a little bit of room in between each piece because they do, you know, like I said, they do puff up a little bit, and I'm just trying to get as close as I can to the edge. And I just want to make sure that you know that when you use parchment paper in your toaster oven, it's a little thin, you want to make sure that it's not touching any of the elements, because that is definitely a fire hazard. So I always try to make sure that paper is basically the actual size of the pan that I'm using, as you'll see. So it literally just basically fits in the bottom. And so I'm gonna get this done, and then we'll move over to the toaster oven, which is all preheated to 325. But here we go. Let's get them in the toaster oven and get them baking at 325 for roughly 15 minutes. I am gonna go a little bit less. I'm gonna check them about halfway through. This one's pretty fat too. Check them about halfway through and make sure that they're getting done how I want. And you can just kind of see that I do have them just spaced just a little bit apart so that they're not touching. And yeah, let's get them in. So I've got it set for 8 minutes right now because that's about halfway through a regular cycle, and they're just going in. So we'll check them at the 8-minute mark. Okay, so let's just give it a check. I'm just gonna keep it on. And just because this is a convection oven, it's looking a little crazy already just at the 8 minutes. Can you hear them sizzling? They're looking pretty good, so I'm just gonna keep a watch. I'm just gonna go a few more minutes, but aren't they cute? I'm actually gonna stop it right now because they're definitely looking done. And I'm just gonna get them pulled out to cool. Oh my goodness, look at these. They look so good. And yeah, so I mean, I didn't even need those last 2 minutes on it. So if you can hear it sizzling, there we go. I'm going to let these cool for at least 20 minutes before I take them off the tray, and we'll give them a taste test. Okay, so here we go. Everything's cooled down, and let's just pick a little crunchy one. So the back is maybe a little more brown than you would want it, but I just think that the thickness, let me give it a quick test taste. I already had one, if you can't tell, but they are like little dippable crackers. So what do you think? Your own ingredients. The one thing I will say, well, there's a few of them on here that I really want to eat, those little crunchy ones. The thing I will say about them is that you do have to keep them in an airtight container. And then if they do kind of start to soften, you can just pop them right back into your toaster oven or regular oven just for a few minutes. Just keep an eye on them, and that'll just firm them right back up. So let me know what you think down in the comments, or what type of cheeses that you like to use. I'm very interested. My husband and I are gonna go to Costco before the kids come, and I really wanna get some Vermont white cheddar and give this a try with that. I think that Cheez-It brand does maybe make a white cheddar, so maybe that would be a good comparison. But these are so super fun. Getting them all even is always kind of tough, but get them kind of as thin as you can. And yeah, there you go. So thanks for stopping by my little channel. And like I said, welcome back to my Southwest kitchen. I'll be here for a few months doing some videos. And thanks for stopping by, and I will see you next time on Christine's Routines. Take care, and God bless. Now these little crunchy ones are calling my name. Hey friends. Oh, kibble. Go on. Go on. Shoot. Go on. Go on. Quit crying around. At the microphone. It just makes sense, right? To narrow it down to stuff that you have probably in your house, and it sounded really good for a second.